Hello and warm greetings. This is Mark with the Panama Christian Foundation. This is a special video message that I've put together primarily for Nitza Nakos and all of the wonderful people that have participated in the fundraiser that she has organized to help the poor people in Venezuela. This video is going to show you what has been accomplished with the funds that you have donated, and the work that's being done and continues to be done over time. The fundraiser is over, but the needs go on. So beyond that, this message is really also for anyone and everyone who cares about making a difference in someone else's life, especially if they are desperately in need, as these people are. So let me show you what's going on here. This is an internet article that was published. The title in English says, "The Hidden Agenda to Hide the Infant Mortality Numbers in Nueva Esparta." That's a town where Alex lives. Alex is my man on the ground there in Venezuela, dealing with these issues and coordinating all the activities that we are able to support with your contributions, with your help, with your support. So the tagline at the bottom says, "The increase in infant mortality due to malnutrition in Nueva Esparta." Okay. This was received by Alex on his phone. Here's a text message. I'll read it to you, translate it for you. It says, "Good afternoon, Alexander. How are you? What can we do for this poor child? She needs a car for transportation and medicines. We have to give her a blood test. Her mama doesn't have anything to help her with anything. Help me with her in any way that you can. I know it's not easy." These are the kind of messages that Alex is getting on a daily basis, especially since we've been helping people. Word is getting out, and he just gets inundated with requests for help. We'll see a few of those. The needs go on. People are literally dying in the street. Things have not changed. If you've seen our previous 3 videos, things have not changed. President Maduro, as of August 2019, is still in power, and the people are still suffering in a way that's almost unimaginable in today's modern world. You think, how can this even exist with the wealth and the resources that we have in this world? But the needs continue. It's just dramatic. The hospitals are controlled by the military right now. You cannot get in or out unless you have a specific purpose that they approve of. In fact, if you bring supplies to the hospital, they will not let you in with those supplies if they come from a private source. They have to be government approved. So even though people are dying without supplies as simple as antibiotics, you can't bring them into the hospital unless the government has approved it. And of course, you know what that means with socialists. It means that they've been involved in the channel of distribution and they've taken their piece of that medicine. They don't want anybody helping someone else if they can't get a piece of it. That's pretty much the bottom line. All right, the nurses, the people that work there are working there without air conditioning, and the heat in Venezuela is oppressive at times. There's no air conditioning. Half the time there's no electricity. Even with backup power generation units, oftentimes there's no diesel or fuel to run those. It's just a horrible situation. This man is a cousin of Alex, a pastor. He died of renal failure for a simple lack of supplies and attention in the hospital. So he passed away. Now imagine yourself being on the operating table and the lights go out. This is what it looks like. So imagine that. Now, these photos and videos are absolutely contraband in Venezuela. The government does not want these getting out. Of course, it makes them look bad that they're unable to provide for their people. So anyone caught taking photos, taking videos, and getting them out of the country is in really serious, serious trouble. So be aware of that. So the people taking these photos really are taking quite an extreme risk. But as I said, the needs are great. Infant mortality is high. It's just hard to really put into words. Alex or his wife will go into the hospital talking to the doctors, and they will inevitably come out with a list of needs that the doctors and nurses are looking for. Okay, and approximately, what they can expect to pay for those. The hospital doesn't have what they need. They have to rely on getting medicine, supplies smuggled in past the military guards. Imagine that. It's like a wartime story, isn't it? All right, now, just to give you an idea, okay, here's the list of things. You don't just walk down to the pharmacy and get these things. For example, here's a product that is desperately needed, and it's typically a $50 item. But guess what? You can't find it. It's not available in the pharmacies. You have to go to the black market. And the black market will typically charge about double the normal price. So instead of $50, you're going to pay $80 to $100 for this very thing. All right? So as we try to buy medicines, the dollars just don't go very far. All right? You don't just go out and buy a case of this stuff and bring it in. It's not that easy. Here's a text. I'll translate it for you from the Pharmacy Tari. Amigo, friend, this is super expensive. Each one of the meropenem is $90. The amoxicillin is $25. The ampicillina is $25. And this is per unit, per dose. And they say, I don't know how many you're going to want at that price. And Alex responds, ay Dios mío, my God. He says, let me see, and I'll let you know. And Farmacia Tari responds, yeah, this has gone up. And Alex says, too much. He says, oh, only before, or the pharmacy is saying, yeah, too much, only before you order, I want that you cancel it, you pay for it. So you got to pay for it when you order it. No credit. Very expensive. It's a financial risk to take this on credit. This solution, metronidazole solution, injectable solution. Alex says they can't find this anywhere. The only solution like this they can find is expired. It's past the expiration date. And he says that's the only option that people have who need this. That's all they can get. Here's a baby with a brain tumor. Here's another one from Marielis. She says, good afternoon, Alexander. I'm the mama of Mariel. Your number was given to me by Rosianis, the nurse at the pediatrics unit. Friend, help me. I need to do some studies, some tests with my daughter. I can't say how much I have. I just don't have the resources. And the hospital doesn't have anything. Help me. I appreciate it very much. So she's saying she doesn't have any resources to help her daughter. The hospital doesn't have any resources to help her daughter. And She has a broken heart. Alex responds, Buenos dias. I know that it's not easy, your pain. There are no words. This week was very difficult. Many babies have died. This was a hit in the stomach for our lives, a very hard hit to our lives. I did everything possible. Only God will compensate us in heaven. I give you saludos. Greetings. My boss is very up to speed with everything that's happening here. This is Alex referring to me. And prayers in my heart goes out to you. She comes back. Good day, Senor Alexander. Mil gracias por todo. Thanks a million for everything. She says, the truth is, you folks have been very special with my daughter. My pain is big, but know that she is good now. Broken heart. She passed away. She didn't make it, as hard as we tried to support in any way we could. So she says, there are no words. I'm sorry for the bother. My pain will subside when I reunite with my daughter. Please give my greetings to your boss. Alexander responds, Buenos dias. Know that your pain is not easy. He says, I know that your pain is not easy. Good attempt, didn't work. Here's a young boy. He's got a tumor in his stomach. He needs tests, special medicine. And you can imagine, the kind of tests that go on with these kids that have these complicated situations. I mean, this isn't just going in for the cold or the flu or the measles, okay? So this guy is being taken care of with your help. Here's a man that showed up to Alexander's house. He has prostate cancer. He was asking for help. Word got out. Alexander's with the foundation that's helping. He shows up at the door. People showing up at your door saying, please help me. Some kids were helping in the hospital. Here's a message Alex sent in a text to me. It says, good evening, Mark. All of these children we have been helping with something, whether it's medicines, exams, doctors. Each of them are fighting daily to survive in a country that doesn't respect life, the life of anybody. He says, how sad to see people wishing to die because it's the only way out. Gracias a Dios, thanks to God and you that we've been able to help, to give peace, and to give food to eat. Thanks a million. And he's saying that to me, but naturally, the people to thank are folks like you who have helped and supported in this effort. You're making a difference. You really are. And it's hard to measure that difference. It really is. Here's another request from the mama of Gabriela. Amigo, I want you to know that my daughter needs help. Now, I don't know which door to knock on. She's saying she's been knocking on every door. She doesn't know any more doors to knock on. It gives me a pain to bother you with this, but I'm desperate. My God, I don't know what more I can do my friend. In this country, este país del coño, it's a swear word, este maldito gobierno, this damn government that is oppressing us, I would give my life, my friend, for my daughter. Help me. Can you imagine getting requests like this on a daily basis from people and not being able to help everyone in their desperation, their cries, their pleas for help to save their children? It's just an emotional burden. I really couldn't imagine. Alexander's having to deal with it. We're getting some medicine through to those who need it. Nurses and doctor in the hospital attending to some of these kids. They needed some blood pressure monitors. I bought a few of those, sent them down to Venezuela. They don't have them down there, or if they can find them, they're way too expensive. So that's how we do it. Here's a report from a doctor for a Camila Montiel. She has a type of cancer, Ewing sarcoma, and this is the protocol that he's putting her on. And just identifying what's necessary for this girl. We get those, and we were able to help this girl, and here she is. Very happy that because of your help, she was able to get back on her treatment. Gives her hope. There's hope. Imagine living in a life without hope. It's just hard to really fathom. More kids in bad shape. This woman looks like she's on her deathbed. Look at her. She looks like little more than a skeleton, just emaciated. And probably, as they say in prison, a short timer. This boy needed special radiation treatment, and the hospital he's in didn't have what he needed. He needed special transportation to go clear across the country to another hospital where he could get the care that he needed. And so we helped provide that transportation. Thanks to you. And that's just a little bit of the medicines and the hospitals and the delicate medical situations. And then we get to the subject of food. That's a whole different story. And as you know, hyperinflation in Venezuela is just out of control. And so people are finding all kinds of different ways to try and get food. Even if you can find it, I mean, the economy's broken down to a large degree. Distribution channels are not normal. Stores are not stocked. And so even when you can find food, it's so expensive, most people can't afford it. Or many people, it's really a crisis. So in addition to the medicine, we try to get food, especially for the elderly. We're giving special attention to the elderly who really need it, and they really can't fend for themselves very well at all. And of course, you need food just as much as you need medicine. I mean, think about it. If you have one or the other, but not what you need, if you have food but no medicine, or medicine but no food, you're not going to make it in either case. So, I mean, if you had to choose one or the other, it doesn't matter. Just it's a situation you just can't win. So we're doing the best we can with what we have, what little we have. Honestly, we don't have much support other than from the Lighthouse Law Club. And you folks with Nietzsche's group have been a real lifesaver to a lot of people. And so it doesn't seem like much, perhaps, but it's everything to those who get to receive it. It's everything. Here's Arturo. You may remember him from a previous video. He's been dealing with malnutrition. He's a young boy that Alexander knows. He's been having his own issues, and with the recent contributions, here's a photo of him with a nutritious drink and some food he was very happy to have. He just recently graduated from grammar school, and so he's trying to advance through life the best he can. Many schools are closed because the teachers don't have food to feed themselves, let alone the kids that go to school. No electricity half the time. You can imagine. So there's a complete breakdown in society here. Complete breakdown. So food is a huge issue, all right? Then we go to water. Without electricity half the time, water pumps don't work. Without water pumps, you have no water. Without water, how do you live? Here's an elderly couple taking their luggage coasters with big buckets of water, having to go long distance to get potable water and bring it back home. So they have something to drink, to cook with, something to use. So water is a huge problem. Alex's cousin died of a bacterial infection from drinking bad water. People in the pueblos, in the cities, are lining up at the wastewater runoff locations around the city, even in industrial areas, and collecting whatever water they can, no matter how polluted it is. They got to have water. They try to boil it, to kill the organic organisms, but that doesn't get rid of chemicals. So what do? You got to have water filters. So thanks to you and your help, we were able to purchase a number of water filters. Many of you are probably familiar with Big Berkey water filter. This is their top-of-the-line model at $305 each. And that doesn't count all 4 filters. If you take all 4 filters, you're looking at $415 with all 4 filters that you can put inside. I was able to negotiate a 20% discount, thank goodness. That helped, but that's not a cheap unit. But this is the big one that they have, and it can serve a number of people. With 4 filters, the filtration rate is pretty good, and so it'll filter a good amount of water in a relatively short period of time and can serve a lot of people. Now, the alternative to this is their Sport Berkey plastic bottle with a straw, and at the bottom of the straw is a filter, so you can fill the bottle up with bad water, and as you suck the water through the straw, it goes through a filter, so you get clean water. So if someone's traveling into the city or traveling for any reason, or just using it on a personal basis at home, you can go get some bad water, fill it up, and drink some clean water, clean it out a little bit, and pass it on to the next person so they can get some water. All right, so that's very convenient from that standpoint. Now, that's one thing. We put in an order of these to go to Venezuela. As soon as we made the order, the day or two after, President Trump declared a ban on all flights from the U.S. to Venezuela. So our shipment was put on hold. It had to be rerouted. That incurred extra transportation costs. In addition to the purchase price, there's a normal transportation cost for the route that we originally choose. Now, because of the rerouting, we had to add an extra $700 on top of the normal transportation costs. And because this was more than one unit at a time, it was deemed commercial, and therefore they put on additional import duties. So this shipment was extremely expensive. Extremely expensive. You thought $300 was high per unit. when everything is all said and done, you can probably figure closer to double that with transportation and duties. Very expensive. However, how can you put a value on clean water to help someone live a decent life? You really can't put a value on that. So, for example, one of these units is going to this lady who manages an old folks' home, and she takes care of 26 elderly people. 26 elderly people. So one unit serving 26 people, which it could do, is extremely valuable. So even at the exorbitant transportation and import duties costs that were incurred on top of the price, which was high to begin with, it's still a bargain when you're looking at life, right? So water is very important, in addition to the food and the medicine. And without electricity, what do? No lights in the home. So what people are resorting to are homemade kerosene lamps. That's if and when you can get the kerosene, which is not always a given. Many times Alex has had plans to go somewhere, but the person who was going to provide the car to get him there couldn't get gas. But these do work fairly well. They do light up a room to some degree, but you've got the mess with the kerosene, you've got the fumes to deal with, you need to be in a ventilated area, and it's a solution. So what we've done here is we've sent down several of these units, these solar generating power cells. This is a portable solar battery that can charge up to 4 cell phones or notepads or similar type of units. And built in to the back side, if you flipped it over, you would see there's a very strong emergency light. And that emergency light essentially produces more light than one of these lamps. Okay, so they can put this outside during the daytime, charge it up, have light in the house, and keep their cell phones charged so they're always at least in communication. Because without electricity, you don't charge your phones. Without your phones, you don't communicate. What do? Okay? So, that's an important issue, and we've been trying to address that. Now, people are not the only ones who are suffering. Not at all. Animals are being abandoned, left to fend for themselves. Alex and I both have a heart for animals, especially dogs. And what we're finding is a lot of people who are leaving the country, they're just getting out of the country to try and survive, they will leave their pets behind. And through some form of insanity, I don't know which, they leave them cooped up inside the apartment, inside the house, penned up inside, the garden area. And so they end up very shortly without food or water. What are these people thinking? And Alex finds out about these animals and does everything he can to try and get them freed up and get them some attention that they need. Now, these are some of the easier stories to take. Many of the animals that he finds in the street have been through vicious fights, or they've been severely mistreated. Perhaps they're scrounging for food at someone's house, and the owner comes out and whacks them with a machete. Just horrible things go on. I wouldn't even think to share with you some of the photos that I have. They're just gruesome, and you don't want to see them. Some things when you see it, you can never unsee it. You know what I mean? But take my word for it. There are some pretty drastic situations, and we're trying to address those. And so, as I mentioned in previous videos, we're working with a vet who is volunteering his time as much as he possibly can to help wherever he can. But again, he needs supplies and medicines and things to, treat the problems these dogs have. And so that adds up. Again, quite expensive. Some things you can't find in the regular markets are just not available, so you have to go to the black market and pay double. So it's a real problem. All right, so with that in mind, some time ago, we decided we need to do something to help these poor animals, in addition to the people that we're helping. And this is a little bit of a happier story than some of the sad cases we went over earlier. But we've been working for actually several months on building a refuge for these poor animals, to take them in, give them the treatment, let them recover, give them the attention they need, the love, the care, the vet, the food, the water, a protected area where they can't be hurt or harmed any further. And this is something we've been doing really for more than 6 months. We don't have much money to work with, and so whenever we get a little bit in, we'll buy some gravel. And a little more comes in, we'll buy some concrete blocks. Whatever we can with, whatever little we have. It's just been step by step by step. It's not just, okay, here's, a pile of money, let's just go do it. No, that's not how we're doing it. Unfortunately, we're not in that luxurious of a position. But what's been interesting is the dogs that Alex has, they've been loving it. They play in the sand, they play in the rocks, they love sitting in the rocks. And even as soon as the roof went up and there was no floor, the dogs wouldn't leave from the unfinished floor, the gravel and the sand. They knew this was their home. They found peace there. They knew this was going to be their refuge, and they just loved it. They would not leave. So it's really funny from that standpoint. These dogs are just absolutely loving it. And we've been working hard at this for quite some time. Again, little by little by little. This is just one of many invoices that we've received for the materials, and start working on the floor after the roof went in. Here it is, ready for the final finish on the floor. The base has been put in, and here it is with the floor finally finished. Here, get a look at this. The dogs just love it. They just sense the peace there. And here's one you might enjoy too. So they come in pretty rough shape off the street, hungry, emaciated, injured, and after a short time in the refuge, here's what they do. So they're pretty happy. Now, needless to say, currently, as of August 2019, Alex has 26 more mouths to feed. And that poses a challenge in and of itself. In addition to the dog food we're able to get, in fact, we found a foundation who specializes in buying this in bulk, and they're able to get us some pretty nice discounts, so we can save some money on stuff like this, because it's also very expensive to buy it in the stores in Venezuela. So we're working with another foundation to get food for these guys. But to supplement it and make it go as far as possible, Alexander is going out and he's finding byproducts, from local butchers and things like that, chicken skin and perhaps organs, whatever he can find, chop it up and mix it in with the dog food, and that seems to stretch it out a little bit anyway. But he's utilizing everything he possibly can to put it to the best use possible. Here's a good example of that. Here's the top of a water reserve tank. The big blue tanks? Well, this is the top turned upside down. And Venezuela is pretty hot. There are some really, really hot days. And the dogs, as you can see, they like to cool off. Now we got one guy enjoying this little pool here, and you can see there's a line waiting for him to get out so that, they can be the next one in. So, yeah, poor guy. Look how skinny his legs are. He's just loving it. You go, yeah, this is the life, man. Laying in his own swimming pool. So these guys have been through some pretty rough times. On the road to recovery, as I said, from serious injuries, malnutrition, abuse, abandonment. But in this refuge, what does this refuge give them? Well, they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. And this is probably one of those pictures. So these guys have come a long way. And honestly, they kind of deserve it. So what we're dealing with here is, many fronts on this socialist disaster in Venezuela. We're dealing with people's health, with medicine, medical exams, medical transport, equipment for the hospitals that they don't have, dealing with food issues. Currently, Alexander and the foundation has about 46 people that we're providing food to on a regular basis. These are generally elderly people and some families with young kids that just are not able to support those kids. We're trying to do the best we can there. 46 people in a country of millions. So you can see we're barely scratching the surface, if at all. But the people that we're able to get to, like I said, it means everything to them. All right? In addition to the people's problems, we've got animal problems, and we're trying to deal with this on all fronts. So it's not easy. It requires support, and we need more support than what we have. So one thing you can rest assured of, though, the folks and the animals that we're able to get to, they're able to sleep a lot better with our help than they were before. And that's because of you. So I want to thank you for contributing. I want to thank you for considering to continue to contribute, and especially for Nitsa and all of her collaborators that participated in the fundraiser. You've made a tremendous difference in many people's lives. We're here, we're continuing. If you'd like to continue to be a part of this success story, making this world a better place, support this life-saving work, and it is life-saving. I wish we could get an actual count on how many lives we have saved, but you can do that at pcfcrowdfunding.com, and if you want to know more about PCF, you can see the website there, pcfpanama.org. With that, I've taken enough of your time. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you very much for your collaboration and support. And all I can say is, may God bless us all. We sure as heck need it. Take care. Hope to talk to you before long.